back for this vid, you know, chill out. It's Friday afternoon, it's the last piece of work I'm doing before the weekend, and it's been a busy week, so I'm just gonna sit back and chill with you, and we are gonna have a chat. You've already seen from the title of this video that today I will be tackling your assumptions about me. I'm actually really excited to do this video, probably because I relish the opportunity to tackle anybody's assumptions about me. I don't feel like I've lived a life without controversy, if I'm being perfectly honest. It kind of follows me everywhere, probably to do with the fact that I speak my mind quite openly. I'm very upfront and honest about how I feel. I don't take much bullshit. It's just the way I've decided to live my life, and it's the type of personality I have. So with that said, when I thought about doing an answering your assumptions about me video, I was quite excited to see what sort of assumptions you guys would put across. Now, I have them all on my phone here. I haven't looked at them yet because I want it to be like really fresh, off the cuff sort of answers, like very spontaneous, not being allowed to think about them very much. I think that's probably going to be the best thing. Okay, so I think we just dive in. I'm just going to hydrate a little bit. I was on a date last night, had a couple wines. Oh, and in case you're wondering, guys, this jumper is new and it's from ASOS, and I'm obsessed with the colour. I've linked it below. Alright, so there's quite there's quite a few crossovers here. I'm just going to pick one at random and start. Okay, so someone here has said, you're an extrovert, introvert. That is a correct assumption. I am very much an extrovert, introvert. I would say I'm truly an introvert because although I'm very good in social situations, that is not something that came naturally to me. When I was younger, I was an actress, a trained actress. I did amateur theatre my whole life, did a bit of TV, like small bitty commercial work. Yeah, I was always on the stage, and you know, you come alive on the stage, and acting really helped me handle myself in social situations that normally were quite, not stressful, but very, very tiring. A typical introverted person is someone that does value their alone time. They need it. It's not even like they like it, they actually need it to reset themselves physically, emotionally, mentally. If I've been around a lot of people, I've had a busy week, I've had a lot of meetings, a lot of events where I've, you know, got my best face forward, and I'm having to like constantly keep my mind on the conversation, be witty and funny and impress people and whatever. Yes, I do find that physically and mentally exhausting, and that is my introverted state. I have to basically go home and just, you know, have an evening off to myself. Nobody fucking speaks to me. So yeah, I'm very much an extrovert, introvert. Having extroverted qualities is such a good and powerful tool. It means I can speak to people, I can network, I can negotiate, I'm confident, but it does come at a cost, and I do find myself having to recuperate quite a bit because of it. It's fairly common state, extrovert, introvert. My partner is an introvert. He's not as good as me in social situations. He doesn't enjoy them as much as I do. He's just rather be chilled on his own. So yeah, that would be a correct assumption. Let's do a juicy one. Someone said you lost your virginity in your 20s. I did not, actually. I think that's quite a weird assumption. I mean, especially as someone who speaks quite openly about sex on the internet. But then again, you just never know, do you? I lost my virginity when I was 17, which I think is fairly late for teenagers in England at the time. But yeah, no, that was fine. It was when I felt ready, and I don't regret it. But I never really truly found my sexuality until I was well into my 20s. So that would be sort of correct. There's so many people here like, you're very sexually active, you have an incredible sex life, you've always been confident with your body and been open with sex and self-pleasure. A lot of sex related ones here. Am I very open and experienced about sex? Well, I'm 31 years old now. I am open about sex because it has been a journey for me. I have learned so much, you know, discovering myself through self-pleasure and the relationships I've had with people, trying out new things. So I've never shied away from that because I always felt like sex was something I never really understood, and my body didn't understand it, and I always thought there must be more to sex than what I'm feeling. And it was then I set out on a journey of exploration sexually, and I did experience a lot, and I have learnt a lot, and that is why I'm so open about it now, because I don't, being that person when I was younger, when I didn't really understand it or get it, I don't want any woman to feel like that. I think every woman should explore her own sexuality, and if I can create a space on the internet when I can talk openly about sex and experiences and empowerment, then that's great. And I'm glad I pushed myself to understand myself more, because it means that I'm in a much better position now, and hopefully for the rest of my life. Do I have an incredible sex life? Yeah, I think my sex life is really good, and if it wasn't, I would be working on it all the time. But that's not to say like it's always good. There's always times when people aren't interested, or you're not feeling it, or things go wrong. Like, it's normal human behavior. So I think I do have a good sex life. Yes, I'm very blessed. I've worked hard at it to get where I want to be with my partner. These things aren't easy, but if you want it and you want to maintain it, then you got to work for it. That's what I believe. This is an interesting one, and my mum would totally agree with this. This lady thinks that I'm quite sensitive, even though I come across like a tough cookie. I was actually speaking to my mum the other day, and she said, we were just talking about mental health and everything, and there was a little bit of a lull in the conversation, and she said, oh, Emily, you know, I'll never forget you as a child. You were always such a sensitive, like, inward looking child, always a deep thinker, very artistic. And yeah, I am very, very sensitive, like emotionally. I'm very sensitive to other people's emotions around me, to the moods in the room. I think it's great because it helps me so much with my craft and my creativity, being sensitive to emotions, my own and others, and things around me. But I do have a tough exterior because people take the fucking piss. That's what I think. Like, I'm, you know, I grew up, and at times I've been taken advantage of, whether it's in relationships, friendships, work scenarios. So yeah, I do wear my tough cookie businesswoman hat a lot of the time, and it helps me get my job done. It's not to say I'm not sensitive though. I deeply am a sensitive person, but you know, sometimes I just gotta wear that tough cookie hat, and I think you guys see that a lot of the time, especially when I'm talking to you on social media and stuff, and I'm putting my opinions across. Even today, sat here, like, I'm very straightforward about what I'm saying, I'm very sure of myself, but you know, that's because I come here to talk to you about things I'm passionate about, so it's easy in that sense. But it's not to say I'm not deeply sensitive and affected by other things. I really am. Like, I cry so much. Like, I am a crier. I cry at anything. I cry at the postman having a bad day. I cry at an advert on TV where someone trips over and drops their bucket of chicken. I cry at every film. I cry at reality TV. Like, I'm a mess. Somebody has said, you're closer with Jess than you are with Alice. Now, those of you that don't know, I have twin sisters a year younger than me, Jessica and Alice. They're both content creators, Instagrammers, influencers like me. Jessica actually lives in London, like me. Alice lives in Edinburgh, so I don't get to see her as much. My relationship with my sisters, it's never been sort of, we have a great relationship. I'll start by saying that we're so close, and they are my best friends. It's not always been like that though. Like, there has been up and downs, and I know as the older one, they often blamed me for like the disruption in our house sometimes. I was quite a troublesome child, and they were good as gold. But you know, that's just something that they've gotten over as time goes on, and they see that I'm actually a mature adult. Growing up, I was very much closer to Jessica than Alice. Alice was always a little bit too much of a goody-goody for me, and I know she won't mind me saying it, but Jessica was more of the like easily led sister, and I could like get her to come to the park with me, and I'd like teach her how to smoke cigarettes, and she'd go out and get drunk and use my ID to get into clubs and all that. So Jessica's very much the one I was close to. Alice was like a little bit more standoffish, but then Jessica went to uni and like started finding herself a little bit, and it was then Alice who matured, I think, a little bit quicker than Jessica, and I became closer to her. And now that Jessica lives in London, naturally I'm working with her loads, I manage her, all her paid work, so that's brought us a lot closer together, and we have much more of an understanding of each other now that we're grown-ups and doing the same job. It's not to say I don't love Alice equally, I do, and she's just, they're different as twins, they're so different, so our relationships are different naturally, but I love them both the same. Someone said here, you've had some sort of realization in your late 20s that you give no fucks about what anyone else thinks. Yeah, I don't even think it was in my late 20s this happened to me. I think it was like mid-20s. I went to uni quite late. I think I was 21 when I started, and so I graduated when I was 24. It was definitely by the time I graduated, I was like, fuck what anyone else thinks. Like, you have to very much carve your own way in the world, and I think there's a lot of judgment when you're at university, high school, from your peers, you know, a lot of judgment about who you are, where you're going, the choices you make, the clothes you wear, anything. Well, no one likes being judged, first of all, but it's bound to happen. But I very quickly realised you waste a lot of time and energy giving a shit about what other people think. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Obviously, I care about people's opinions today very much, so like I still do, and especially the ones closest to me. But I found there was absolutely nothing to gain from letting someone else's opinions get to me. It's someone else's opinion at the end of the day. It counts for absolutely nothing unless they care about you. That's it, really. And even then, you need to understand what in your heart of hearts is what's best for you. Caring what other people think wasn't doing me any favors. It was just making me second guess my own instincts, and that's never a good thing, I don't think. Always take advice from people. I'm not saying don't do that. I've got loads of wise people around me that care, and I'm always welcoming of their opinions, but more often than not I'm just listening to my gut, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I'd say that was right. Someone here said, you've had lip fillers. No one's lips can be so smooth and pouty and perfect without help. Yes, I have had lip fillers, and it's no secret. I've spoken about it on my YouTube before. I've actually got a video, if anyone's interested, of all of the cosmetic procedures that I have had done. I will link it below for you guys if you want to check it out. Someone said here, you have very high class friends. Well, I'm sure they would love hearing that. Are they high class? What constitutes high class? Do you mean like upper class? I have quite a middle class bunch of friends, I'd say. We're all from similar walks of life, but as individuals I'd say they're a classy bunch, although when we do get together and have some drinks and it's just the like 5 of us, it can be pretty heinous and disgusting. Like, we have the most vulgar sense of humour, and I fucking love it. There's no end to the disgustingness that we like come out with when we're together, but it's amazing. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. But walking down the street when we're ready for a night out, we would very much be mistaken as a classy group, I'm not gonna lie. Someone said here, following you on here turned my preconceived assumptions about you on their head. Well, that's nice to know. I think that you can only glean so much from someone's Instagram grid, you know. I think where you really get to learn them is when you watch their videos and when they talk to camera. So I'm glad that's happened. They've said in the same thing, you're a fantastic role model, which makes me really happy to hear, because I do try and be a role model for women, young women. I'm in no way a young girl's role model, you know. I am a woman who has lived my life, and my content isn't always PG. So a few people have said, your family had money growing up, but you were taught the value of hard work, you come from a rich family, like this sort of thing. You were educated privately. So let's talk about money. I wouldn't say I come from a rich family at all. My family are very middle class. My dad worked hard his whole life and he did well for himself. We were very comfortable, and I had amazing opportunities to live abroad in the Caribbean, and yes, there I was privately educated. The best 5 years of my life, I'm not gonna lie. Private education is an incredible opportunity if someone can afford to do it. I came back to the UK after being privately educated for a bit to state school in England, which I personally think is terrible. Having compared the two, I was really shocked and upset to see how little my fellow 17-year-old peers valued education. Like, shocked, I really was. Very upsetting, because the private school that I went to, we were always taught that being smart and getting good grades and achieving high standards was something to aspire to, something to be proud of. It made you cool. Like, if you had good grades, then that was kudos, you know. So to come back here and like discover the state of the public education in the UK, I was shocked. I didn't like it, I'll be perfectly honest. Education is so valuable. It's sad, it really is sad. And I know the public sector does what they can for education in the UK, but it's really not enough. Class sizes need to be smaller, there needs to be more teachers, they need to be better paid. Education is the foundation of who you become, like how you tackle problems and the lining of your brain, all the knowledge of our history, how to do basic maths, how to speak properly, like know proper grammar and all of that sort of thing. And it's so important to me. Like I said, my dad always worked hard. My mum's always been an entrepreneur. She got a degree in nursing. My dad has a PhD. I was by no means uncomfortable growing up. Like I never wanted for anything. I was comfortable. But to say rich, like my family were rich, I wouldn't necessarily say that. So yeah, they definitely instilled in me what it was like to have a good life and be comfortable and get a good education and work hard, and those are all principles that I very much apply to my own work ethic and the sort of upbringing I want to give my own children. Someone said here, you've been cheated on before. I suppose I have. I think it was my second relationship. I was 18 years old and I was dating a guy who I fell in love with. I would probably say that he was the first person I ever fell in love with. He was a naughty boy though. He liked to have fun and we liked to have fun together, but very early on in our relationship, and I remember this scene vividly when I was younger. My mum and my ex-boyfriend Alex, and we were all sat in the room together, and no, he didn't cheat with me, with my mum, I'm not about to say that. I was crying because I'd found out that he cheated on me, and my mum was very much like, in a typical fashion, for God's sake, you're like a bunch of teenagers, you either want to be with each other or you don't. Emily, get over it. Alex kissed another girl. Do you want to be his girlfriend or not? Black and white like that. And I was like, and I was just like, do you know what? She's right, like, fuck it. So we stayed together. We'd only been a month together at that point, and he kissed another girl at a party and lied to me about it, and I found out, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to stay with him, but saying that, we did stay with each other for another 2 years after that, and I never let him forget it. And I'm not proud of my behaviour at all. I'm not, because I feel if you've been cheated on and you want to stay with that person, you agreed to let it go. But I never let him forget it. I don't think I've been cheated on since. Okay, so a few people have said an assumption is that I have my shit together. I certainly like to think I do have my shit together, but do you know what, honestly, nobody has their fucking shit together. Honestly, honest to God, nobody. Everybody has moments in their weeks, in their days when they're like, what the hell am I doing? Or what the hell do I do here? Or what the hell do I say? Like, you know, I think there was a moment last week when I should have been up at 8 a.m, washed, dressed, breakfast, coffee in hand, tackling emails, knowing I had a load of deadlines coming, and I was sat in my pants with a bag of crisps on my chest, on the sofa, scrolling through Instagram for 2 hours. And I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I have a business to run. People are depending on me. Like, these 2 hours sat eating crisps in my pants are gonna come back to haunt me, because I'm gonna have a shitload of work tonight and I'm gonna be working till 10 p.m. So yeah, nobody always has their shit together. Obviously, when I'm putting out videos like this and I'm talking very passionately about things, like, it would appear that, yeah, I've got my head screwed on. And I very much do think I've got my head screwed on. But I remember, I think the turning point came for me was when I started my business. I left my old job and I started my business. That was about almost 4 years ago now. And I realized with astounding clarity at that moment that I very much needed to get my shit together as of today, moving forward. You know, I had rent to pay, I'd left a job, I had no income on the horizon whatsoever, but I had this blog and I had a couple thousand followers on Instagram and YouTube, and I was like, well, this is my opportunity. So given the situation and the circumstances, I quickly pulled my shit together. But that's not to say I don't have times that I'm just like an absolute mess of a human being, and I'm like, oh my god, if all of you guys could see me now. Someone said here, you make good money. Yeah, I do. I think I do make good money. I think the influencer industry is very lucrative if you do it right. If you create a brand where you're focused and it's very definite, and your tone of voice and your aesthetic is sure of itself and finessed, and you very much know what you want and what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to, and you have good work ethic, then you can make the influencer industry work for you and you can make a lot of money. That is the black and white of it. I actually have a video on the truth about being an influencer, how to become a full-time blogger. I will link it down below if you guys want to see more on this subject. I basically answer all of your questions about what it's like to be a blogger, including how much money I earn and that sort of thing. It's really interesting because the influencer industry is changing so rapidly. There are so many more of us now, 4 years later, than when I started. The market, and this is an understatement, is saturated with young females wanting to do what I do. Has it made it increasingly hard for me to earn money? No. My fees just keep going up and up. So yeah, you can make good money. I know a lot of people that have higher social media followings than me don't earn as much as me and don't charge as much, but you just have to put a value on your worth, and that's what I did from the get-go, and I've stuck by it, and I say no a hell of a lot, and I only take the jobs that pay well. Yeah, it can be lucrative, and I am making the most money I've ever made in my life. I remember when I left my job in fashion photography, which is notoriously badly paid, by the way, and within that first month I had tripled my salary, going from desk job to freelance blogger. So yeah, there's some real badass girl bosses out there. Inspiring. Someone said you prefer to try different fad diets than having everything in moderation. I have actually been thinking a lot about this recently because I got kind of run down last week after 2 months of traveling, non-stop parties, weddings, events. I was just like very fatigued and my health wasn't very good. And I was like, right, time to clean up my diet. I'm going straight back on the keto, 3 liters of water a day, no alcohol for a week, yoga every night. And then I was like, whoa, Emily, slow down. Like, you always do this. Like, I go from one extreme to the other, and I was like, is there a balance here? Can I just live moderately rather than one extreme to the next? And the answer is, I'm afraid, probably not. This is something I've been thinking about talking more on. I have this ethos that I live by, and it's like, live fast, age slow. And that kind of encompasses the idea that my life will always be a little bit crazy. I enjoy the things I enjoy. I love doing what I do. I have a million opportunities at my fingertips. I don't say yes to them all, but I say yes to a lot of them because I want to enjoy my life, and that's how I do enjoy my life. So it actually leads to me not feeling great 100% of the time, where I've had too much to drink one or 2 days in the week, or my diet suffered, I'm feeling bloated because I have IBS. I did try moderation, but it turns out it's not for me. So I like to strip things back and kind of detox. It's not ideal, but it's just the way I've chosen to live my life, and it's working for me at the moment. That's why I take means of like booking in, like today for example, I have like a 90-minute reflexology class followed by a yoga session. I really pack in those like well-being self-care moments when I can, because most of the time I'm just like go. I'm always interested in bettering myself as well. If I can find like a new diet that works for me, or a new supplement that's going to improve my skin or my lifestyle or my energy levels, then I'm always up for trying it. Just think of me as one big testing machine for you guys so I can report back on everything I find. I'm basically a guinea pig. Someone here says you never worry about money. Following on from the money assumption I got earlier, I definitely do worry about money. I think that's, even if you are earning a good salary, I think it's quite rare for you not to worry about money ever. I'm currently saving with my partner to get a house next year. I have very grand designs of how I want to decorate it and everything. I'm also thinking about, I might want to get married in the next few years, and I'm gonna have to save for a wedding. Weddings cost so much money. And I'm always thinking about what happens when I want to have children and stop working for a bit, because that for me is quite scary. I'm not salaried. I don't have employee benefits or company benefits. I'm not going to get maternity pay. So I'm always thinking about that, like I should probably start a little nest egg where I essentially put some money aside for when I have children and time off, because how else am I going to survive? I'm not going to get maternity pay. So yeah, there's always little things in the back of my mind about the future. I just started a pension, actually. I just started a pension. It's something that was on my to-do list for years, having been self-employed for a while now. So that's kind of good that that's happening. Someone here has written the assumption that I'm super neat. Well, if you've watched my Instagram stories when I've been shooting in my office, you'll know that that is not true. This place is literally a bomb site after I've been doing a day's work in here. But you're right, it drives me crazy. I tidy up as soon as I can, because I honestly believe that a tidy environment means a tidier mind. I'm not one of these people that wakes up every morning and will not leave the house without making the bed to perfection. It just makes me feel better. I think my brain is like quite a mess in general, so if I can have a nice neat surroundings, then it's gonna make like my thought process is much easier and my creative process flow a lot easier. But yeah, no, I am definitely in the top 10 percentile of like neat people in the world, I reckon. I like a clean house. I feel a bit bashful saying these next ones because they're genuinely very, very nice assumptions about me, and I actually think that they're true. Someone said, you're very kind, open and hardworking, which, yeah, I would agree with all of those. I probably wasn't very kind when I was younger. I think there was some times when I was at uni I was like a little bit of a bitch. Looking back, it was definitely just a front. Being as sensitive and emotional as I am, like, I am kind, and it's definitely something I've worked on and I've got better with age, for sure. And then someone again has said, you're very kind, caring and funny. I like to think I'm funny. And I am caring. I'm a very compassionate person. I'm very empathetic. And that was something that really became apparent to me in my last relationship when I was dating a sociopath. Me being the empath and him being the sociopath was just a spell for disaster. Like, I would be sucked dry of my empathy and compassion, and because they didn't really have any, it would just be like a cycle of just feasting on like anything I would give, because that's how sociopaths like feed their souls. They just feed off everybody else's emotions and sympathy and empathy and compassion. I am caring, but now I'm in a relationship where my caring is reciprocated and given back. So there's a balance, and it feels good to be caring and kind and care for someone when you're getting it back, you know. It's a nice balance. So yeah, I think we'll end on that note. I hope that was interesting for you guys, and I hope I squashed any assumptions you might have had. In fact, thinking back, they were all pretty accurate. So it really does show me that you guys do in fact know me pretty well, and the persona that I've been giving off on my channels is pretty accurate to how I am in real life. So that makes me really happy. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did make it to the end, I want you to write compassion down below, because compassion is something we should all have for one another and humanity and the world we live in. Spreading the word about compassion is always a good thing. So thanks for joining me today. If you've got any future topics you would like me to cover on Ask Emily, then please leave them below in the comment box. I will get back to you. And have an amazing day, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already. The subscribe button is down below. And I will see you back on my channel really, really soon. Bye for now.